Hello everyone, here we are once again for the annual Southeastern Mars Conference. The conference we had last year was really awesome, and I must say that this year has pretty much equaled it. You know, we really enjoyed it a lot. So I'm sitting here with Chief Photo Analyst for Mars, Ross Curley, and a photo analyst for Mars, Patricia Bullock Williams. I think what we're going to do first is address how we came to be photo analyst for those that don't know, because there is really a lot of newcomers into Mars. So here we go. Patricia.
I became familiar with Andrew Bashago probably through Alfred's article about Laura Eisenhower. It's my gateway into the whole world about Mars with the time traveling. And I met Ross Curley, and he was my guide into helping me with the photo analysis. I've always been an analyst throughout my life and had interest in UFOs and metaphysical things, but I also was a analyst with computers in years back, so it was kind of a natural progression for me. So, and I've really enjoyed it, and it's been one of my passions in my life.
That's awesome. And Ross, how did you begin on this adventure?
My life basically began with UFO research, moon research, examining satellite images, examining images that people put up online of UFOs, and bringing them into my photo program and examining them deeper with using different filters from the different programs that I used. And then I started searching for someone that would believe in the things that I was finding. Once I moved on to Mars, it was pretty amazing the way things just kind of pop out for me. Most people can't see what I see, and that includes my two comrades here. And it's pretty amazing the amount of stuff that people are missing by not having the insight to see what I call is, to see what isn't there really is there. It's really kind of strange to even think about saying something like that, but that's how I look at it. I tried some of the biggies in the Mars world with some of the things that I had found, and nobody was interested in what I had. One person, I won't name a name, but said to me, he says, "Your stuff is too hot." I go, "What do you mean by that?" He said, "You're showing too much." Okay. I won't say who that was. Then somewhere along the line, someone steered me toward Alfred Lamont Weber of exopolitics, or actually the father of exopolitics. And he says, "Well, I have a friend, his name is Andrew D. Bashago." He gave me his information, and I contacted Andy. And Andy was a little hesitant at first, and then I started examining the discovery of life on Mars. And I started examining some of his photos with his permission. And after showing him what I found, he was pretty excited, and kind of allowed me to tag along for a while. And after doing some other investigations for him in regard to Mars and other parts of the company, he asked me if, well, actually I found this, my gremlin, and I was pretty excited about it when I found it at NASA JPL. So I sent it to Andy, and he says, "Andy, this is yours, you can do whatever you want with it." And before long, he wrote a report on it, gave me full credit for it, rather than just taking it and saying it was his, even though I had given it to him. And from then on, things were kind of going along good. I was finding all kinds of things for him, and he was doing reports on them. And then he just asked me if I wanted to be chief photo analyst for the society. I said, sure, why not? But he says, you have to use your real name. He says, this is an honest organization. I said, oh, I don't know about that. I don't want people to know who I am. You know, they'll come knocking on my door and want to haul me away to jail or something. But I agreed and used my name, Ross Curley, rather than Lone QQ Wolf. And here we are with my friends, my comrades, and really having a great time.
That's
Thank
great.
you.
That's great. Before I go into how I really got into it, Patricia, was there a certain thing that you did, a certain image that you found that prompted Andy to invite you to be a photo analyst for Mars?
Right after I started, it was about my really second or third day of doing this work. I found a lizard. Of course, I didn't know how to bring it up, and I was frantically calling Ross to try to say, it's up in the upper right-hand corner.
Okay.
But it was the lizard of Forest Valley. And
which is now a PDF in the Annals of Mars.
yes, and it was published by Andrew Bushago.
Very
So
cool.
that,
Very cool.
Yeah.
And yours was the Gremlin.
The Gremlin, and then a bunch of other things flourished from that, from the different areas that I was going to. So I got quite a stockpile in the PDF files.
Cool. And of course, Andy also did a PDF in the Annals of Mars for you on the Gremlin.
Yes.
And that is in projectmars.net for anyone that doesn't know that. Okay, the way I got started is I've always been into the whole UFO scene. I'm very well read in that entire scene, the ETs, and read many books regarding that, and was totally convinced that we were certainly not alone. And what had happened was I'm also into music, play guitar, and I was looking on YouTube for child prodigies, music prodigies, and up came Bariska, the boy from Mars, and I'm like, what the heck is that? You know. So anyway, I looked at the Project Camelot interview of Bariska, which I thought was very interesting. And you know, when you go to YouTube and you're watching a video, they also prompt you with suggestions that are related to what you're watching or viewing. And I saw in Bushago the discovery of life on Mars. I'm like, that's kind of curious. So I checked that out, and I was absolutely fascinated. Pretty much at first I just scanned the paper and looked at his letter that he had written to National Geographic to try to get it published. And immediately after that, it was the first part of January, so it was only virtually a few weeks after Andy had written the paper, and I contacted him. And we had a really great conversation via email. He enlightened me about a couple videos, articles that I should look at, and said he'd be happy to take any contributions I would make, you know, to contribute to Mars Anomaly Research Society. So I jumped in head first and just started downloading JPL images, and I mainly in the beginning I stuck with all rover images, all Spirit and Opportunity rover images, and I began to find lots and lots of humanoids, structure, different animals. It was pretty fascinating. So I began sending this stuff to Andy, and I think at that point I didn't know Ross at first, but immediately after I sent a few things to Andy, then he directed me to Ross to include him, and then Ross and I kind of hooked up, and Ross was a little leery because he was like, you know, don't mess with us, don't mess with Andy, and which I really totally understood, you know, because this was actually pretty serious, you know, in my mind it was. So at any rate, I discovered some movement on Mars, you know, finding an image where things were present and then having another image of the same place, a different sol, and everything changed. Either some things weren't there or they had moved. Immediately after that, Andy invited me to be a photo analyst for Mars Anomaly Research Society, and that's where I am today. So I guess what we want to address here is kind of where we think the research is at this point and where we might think it's going. Let's start with you, Patricia. I mean, do you what is your assessment as far as where it stands now? I mean, addressing the contributions by others and the conversation that's going on, and just kind of in general your feel for where we are at this point.
If you look at our page, the Mars Anomaly Research page, last year versus this year, the amount of people that are on there, the amount of just postings from people finding sites, some extremely well done, and just the interest that everybody has that's on the Mars page is just, you know, a fabulous thing. I do find it interesting how the next rover is actually going to, quote, look for life or signs of past life on Mars. And, I mean, you know, that is their main mission.
Well,
so
what do you think about that? Do you, I mean, we obviously know that there is life on Mars, and yet they're going to send up a mission to look for life on Mars. So what is your assessment of that? I mean, that is, of course, in the now. So what do you think is going on with that? Why?
You know, part of it could be, you know, they're always 4 steps back from most of that information that we already knew. Just like with the water on Mars, when they finally announced that there really was water on Mars, and we're like, we've been telling people that for years. And just, it's those tiny baby steps that everyone is taking, and now all these different missions, different people trying to go and go to Mars or inhabit Mars, like Elon Musk. That's the one I'm most interested in following, because he's such a dynamic businessman. Mm-hmm. And for $500,000, any of y'all who want to move to Mars permanently, there's quite a long list already, but he's planning on moving, you know, millions of people to Mars. So, and he's such a forward thinker with Tesla Motors and PayPal and this new vacuum tube transportation device here. For him to put that time and money in his SpaceX program into actually planning on doing this is very interesting. So that's, I just find that probably one of the ones to watch out of that. You know, other people have these ones where they take the older couple and they just fly around Mars and they never land. I mean,
Just
that's what's the point of that, really, at this point? I think we've already jumped, since that was even announced, we've just jumped so far from that. So, and the interest is growing, as we can see every day. There's more and more analysts, more and more people going and finding their own research. So I find it a fascinating time. As you can see, we have other beings here with us today.
Yeah, sorry, but if you hear this barking, it's our little Yorkies. They kind of go a little crazy sometimes. They like to be picked up.
So they love the camera.
I am going to pick them up. This is Kiwi and this is Mango. So they're going to just sit with me just for a minute. So your overall assessment of where we are, do you think, what do you think we are regarding how the general population is thinking about life on Mars? Do you think they are buying it? I mean, do you find when you talk to people out there that they're receptive to it, or?
I think I'm finding them more receptive now, especially ones who were questioning what I was doing at the beginning, and I would say, well, there's water, there's these other things, and now they're actually seeing some of these things being discovered. I think it's slowly just taking a brick down at a time.
Okay, so you think we are currently in a good place?
I think so.
You do?
And I think some of the technology, even though anybody who's following this from the Project Pegasus or the Mars page knows about time travel, even though they're talking about going there in more traditional means and ways, it's still a forward thinking. And now that we're more private enterprise is out there, I think it's going to happen sooner than possibly it would have been if it caught in the red tape of NASA in the past.
Okay. Okay. All right, Ross. Do you have? I'm sure you have something to add. But what is your general feeling as far as where we are today?
I think we're moving right along here. We still have our skeptics, on our Facebook page at Mars Anomaly Research Society, as everybody else in our line of work, expertise, whatever you want to call it, researchers, developers. I'd like to put a plug in for William Stillings, Brett Collins Shepard, and Neville Thompson for the work that they've contributed to the Mars research, along with Pat and Lewis.
Thanks,
But I think with our page, we're going along great. We now have, as a regular contributor, George Haas. We have Joe Resnick jump in every once in a while. Or is it on the other page? I don't know. Whatever. And they have some great stuff. Ron Stewart, who has worked with Joe Resnick, also great researchers. But I think with our page, with the contributors that we have now, and even in the past, our good friend Paul Goodwin, who decided to go into other ventures, and we won't go into why, but it's a tough business trying to prove that there is life on other planets to the average, everyday person walking down the street. I plug it all the time, and people look at me strange, they look at me like I'm crazy, and I really don't care. It's what I believe in. If I can't believe in myself, who can I believe in?
Good point.
But yeah, it's I think we'll get there eventually. I'm getting up in the years. I just hope that when NASA or the government finally says, yes, there is life on Mars, yes, there was a past life on Mars, and yes, there will be a present life on Mars, that I'll not only see it, but remember what all the hubbub is about. But it's hard for, I believe, for the government to say now that, even tomorrow, today, to say there's life on Mars, there's people on Mars, there's other races on Mars. But they can't admit that because they've been misleading us in the past. And once they, or apparently once we get a president in there that is willing to get the government behind him, we might do better on proving that there is life on Mars, and that all the people, the thousands of people, maybe hundreds of thousands of people who do Mars research, who do planet research, moon research, alien research, that there is life on other planets and we are not alone.
Okay, do you think, this is for both of you, do you think that we have at this point, up to this point, proven that Mars is inhabited. Ross, do you think?
I say 100% on what I have found. It's just getting people to see what I have found.
Okay, so now couple that together with not only what you have found, but of course what Andy presented in his paper, The Discovery of Life on Mars, and the others that you know are contributing to this truth that we're trying to get out to the general population. I mean, do you think that really decisively has really proven that Mars is inhabited? Do you believe that?
I think everybody that has contributed heavily into the, let's call it a movement, that there's life on Mars. It grows every day. There are some others, they're all over the world, from the United Kingdom, Italy, Australia, the United States, South America, you name it. Every country has people that believe in it. It's just getting the word to the right people that have failed us in the past.
Okay, and Patricia, who do you think? Who are the people that believe it? Why do they just offhand believe it, or do you think it's because they've done their own research, or they trust other researchers, or what do you, in general, what do you think?
Well, one thing, like you were saying about Andy insisting you using your real name. I mean, I think we're a breed apart anyway, that we have to stand out on our own merits and what we believe, and you can't hide behind another pseudonym. And it does take courage to do what we do or be outspoken about it, because you have to stand up for your beliefs, and if your research shows your case strong enough, then it's okay if they don't believe it. It's not. But you know, when a lot of my work, I usually work in high-rise images, which is the high-resolution imaging orbiter pictures that are with the University of Arizona in NASA, and those, I mean, there's mining facilities, and they'll be grouped together. So if you look at the whole area, you know, and there's certain things that are the same in areas. I mean, there's definitely not of the norm, and so as long as I think if we continue to show pictures that are very clear and very specific. Of course, we always find the ones that we can see, and you know, but we don't have the tools or the technology to bring it out yet, or are skilled. Neville's really good at you know, fleshing out the extra. But you know, so it's I think it's when you're strong in your belief, then they're more likely to follow. I don't think I have as many doubters. We also have, Ross is now in charge of the Mars Research page, which is another page, and I have the Mars Network page, which tends to be more information about what's going on Mars, or missions toward Mars is more its focus. And I've never gotten anything negative on that page, or
Okay.
and I don't, yeah.
So it sounds things are promising.
Yeah, I think things are moving ahead.
All right.
What about you?
Well, I think that there are many non-believers, or as Andy calls them, rockists, who just see rocks, and I think that Andy has identified it for us pretty well with looking at the perception quotient, you know, or your ability to see what is there or interpret what is really there, and a lot of it has to do with putting aside preconceived notions. You know, that if you go in and believe what mainstream science has told us for many decades, that Mars is a lifeless, barren planet, then you're apt not to see what is there. you know, but like myself, having the ET UFO background and knowing full well that we live in an inhabited universe, it was relatively easy for me to see what Andy pointed out in his paper and to see the many anomalies that I have found myself, you know. So I'm finding that in Mars Anomaly Research Society that we're getting a lot of very serious work now that is being done, that people are really taking a hard look at the images. Currently what I'm doing is if I find an image of real interest to me that someone has posted, that I'll go in and rework that image to try to bring out what I see, you know, and it's regardless of whether you are right or wrong in your assessment, it's good to have that assessment because that prompts other people to like take a different point of view or a different look at things. Yeah, so I think that we definitely have come a long way. I've been doing this like 4.5 years now, actually over that, almost 5 years now, and I think we've come a long way. Many of the people that I talk to are really not in denial about it. They don't know. They haven't spent the time to really look at it. And many people that I know, especially locally here, they kind of rely on me to show them things and point things out to them, and which I do. So I think that we are, as a whole, progressing. You know, progressing. Although you're going to have, I mean, I've got people that have commented on what I've posted and what I've said about Mars being fully inhabited, and they really think I'm crazy. You know, so there's plenty of those out there, and I know you both have been hit with that also. You know, so but that simply is the way that it is. And I think we still have a long way to go, but what I believe is happening is that, and I guess I'm going to start into where I think things are headed. First of all, I think that even though there are many researchers now, and many of them looking at Mars and looking at life on Mars, because it's becoming more and more evident, and you're seeing a lot of media, actually mainstream media, actually bringing up the Mars subject here and there, kind of all over. So it's being brought into the public eye slowly. I think what's going on is that the movement, like you put it, and I think it is kind of a movement, is growing exponentially. You know, that it is really starting to blossom and flourish, and the like, I can't remember how many members we have at Mars now. I think it's just under 4,000, but I'm not positive about that. But I can see us up at 10,000 members within 6 to 8 months, because I believe it's growing that quickly. And in my mind, Andrew DiPasciago has really kind of spearheaded the whole thing with his paper, when he wrote his paper, you know. And I mean, that his paper in and of itself proved life on Mars. That is clear. I mean, if you really dive into the paper and really look at it, it becomes kind of self-evident, you know, that it's there for all to see. It's just a willingness to see it, you know. Sometimes we don't want to see what is there, and when this fact that Mars is inhabited comes to the general population, it's going to change so much, because it is a paradigm shifting kind of event, you know, or kind of a thought process that really is part of what's going on in general, as far as the awakening that's going on in the general population. You know, so I think there are many good researchers, and you have mentioned Neville Thompson as far as his ability to enhance these photographs, and we all have our own kind of method, you know. Some of us do very simplistic things, like really myself. I don't add anything to my finds. I simply try to do the best to bring out what I think is there through changing colors, hues, saturation, contrast, things like that. You know, so, and I use Picasso 3, which I think is a good program. I don't think it's just a good starter program, but I think it's a good program to be in and work your images
And
with.
that's what I use too.
Yeah, so it works well, and I know you use...
I use Corel.
Yeah, and so we all have our own kind of methods, but I think working together in a corroborating effort that that we're able to really bring forth what is there. So what I see coming in a very near future is that this is going to go out into the general population, that everyone. And when I say in the near future, I'm not talking in the next decade or the next 20 years. I'm talking in the next year or two. That's what I think. That's how I think it's growing. I think it's exponential. What do you think about that as far as, again, where do you think we're headed? Do you think it's going to happen that quickly, Ross, or do you think it's going to be slower, or what are your thoughts on that?
It's going to pick up speed along the way once NASA starts letting out a little more information than what they're letting out now, like water. Now they're saying they want to go to Mars and see if there's life there. Well, you're a little bit late, guys. But anyway, I think we're moving along at a pretty steady pace, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Well,
you can't change people's minds. If they made up their mind that there's nothing there, and that a creature that looks like a creature is a rock, well, then that's what they're going to think their entire life. Some people you just can't change. I've changed a lot of minds since I started doing this, but you please some of the people some of the time, but you can't please all the people all the time.
Very true, very true. Let's get back. Let's get to why do you think? Why is NASA? Why aren't they telling us? Why aren't they telling? I mean, sure, there's many things in general that we haven't been told that keeps us from viewing reality, basically. So, do you have your own thoughts as far as why NASA is keeping this from us, or trying their best to?
I think the reason they keep it from us is like with UFOs. If we found out that UFOs would be real, we would run amok in the streets, and everybody would start rioting and going insane.
Do you really think so?
No.
Yeah. Yeah. So what that was the whole, I guess, War of the World thing, and you know, where they thought everybody would panic. But look, here we've got many people now realizing that Mars is inhabited, and I don't see any panic. Do you? No. I mean, the people I've talked about and shown, I mean, evidence that's so clear that you can't deny it. They don't run them up. I mean, they're fine. Right? So what do you why do you think that NASA is hiding this? Do you feel the same way that Ross does, or?
I think a lot of it is NASA and other government agencies are so compartmentalized that only certain people know they're part of the job. So the ones that are in really the powers to be are in control of all the information. And I think a lot of the equipment, a lot of the UAPs, the unidentified aerial UFO type things that have landed or crashed, they've been reverse engineered. Time travel, you know, it didn't just stop. It's, you know, it's either being It could be shelved because of budgetary restraints, but I don't think so. There are constraints of that. But all that technology, there are, I think, black ops or even private enterprise now that is working on these areas. So NASA, you know, they're struggling now. You know, so many people have been laid off at NASA. So I just, Cocoa Beach is like a ghost town with people out of work.
Okay.
So who's running things? And I think it's private enterprise, and I think that's why things are going the way they are now.
Well, but let's get to why, truly why they would be keeping this from us. You know, what is, for what reason? What, you know, why wouldn't they let us know? Why wouldn't they let the general population know that our neighbor planet, the closest planet to us, is inhabited? Why wouldn't they let us know that? What's the reason behind that?
Well, maybe not the muck in the streets, but who runs the world? You know, the whole domination of big business,
churches.
Exactly, the Catholic, the whole thing on, if we're supposed to, if God only created us, then who created them? Then, and I think some of the changes in the Catholic Church on, you know, that they're going to go and preach to the aliens and try to convert them is at least a step that they're acknowledging. And of course, they have one of the biggest telescopes in the whole world. They're watching all this so carefully. Right. So I think it's who's going to get the big piece of the pie. I think we're already up there mining. We already have our government installations up there, and I think it's all who is in control, and they don't want us questioning more than they want us to.
Well, you know, at present there are things that the president doesn't even know. Any president that's in office doesn't know certain parts of the military-run government of our country and every other country.
Well, I mean, do you have, Ross, do you have a primary reason that you believe that this is being withheld? I mean, do you think there's a core reason for withholding this truth? I mean, do you know anything
beyond
specific?
Beyond my realm of reality of why they keep secrets on anything.
Like this, you don't understand why.
I don't understand why. No, I'm a photo analyst. That's what I like to do. You know, I'm not a politician, so.
Well,
why they do it, I have no idea.
Okay. Well, inevitably, of course, when you can't avoid politics to a certain degree when you begin to do this kind of stuff, this kind of work. You know, I think there are some very deep-rooted reasons for not letting us know. First of all, to begin with, if they would come out and let us know now, then they're going to have to admit to lying for lots of decades. You know, so I believe that's part of the reason, and we're talking about a major shift in consciousness. I mean, it's a paradigm shift. You know, when people, it's like going from understanding that the world was flat to the world that was round. You know, so I mean that's a big shift, and that's what this will bring, and I think it even goes deeper than that, because we know that there is a Egyptian connection to Mars. You found what Andy considers the Rosetta Stone.
Right, the head of a pharaoh on a rock. I mean, on a stone.
Yes, and it's really easy to see that too. And then in Andy's paper, there's a sarcophagus. I mean, it's obvious. It's a wonder how the neck didn't snap off of it, but it's there. You know, and then the another connection is the scorpion beings that Andy found, and I was fortunate enough to find a couple more of them. And Andy had put together a paper that shows that connection with Egypt, because the goddess circuit is depicted sometimes with a headdress that has a scorpion on top of it. And this artifact that was actually found, they've got a circuit, and she is half human and half scorpion being. You know, so these mythological creatures, so-called, apparently are not. You know, so it just changes so much, and I think that they're, call it whatever you want, the powers that be, whoever, name it whatever you like, but they're afraid of this paradigm shift to a certain degree. You know, and I think a lot of people that work for NASA would like to actually expose this truth, but they can't. They have families, or, you know,
confidentiality agreements.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that that's a big reason why it's not being exposed. I mean, I think there's a number of reasons, but I think in my mind, the main reason is that basically the history books have to be rewritten, because we're not told the truth about things, where we've come from, and our interactions and connection with Mars, and it's really crazy how things have went, and how we have been fooled, basically.
It could be maybe that the top government officials have never seen our work. That could be why
I think
they haven't revealed it.
Yeah, I think many have not. I think the general science community, they believe that Mars is a lifeless, barren planet, because that's what they've been told for many decades, and if there's no atmosphere on Mars, well, we know that's not true, because we do know people that have been there. Andrew, you know, Andy and William Stillings, you name a couple, Bernard Mendez, Michael Relf, Henry Deacon, aka Arthur Nguyen, and it's just there's so much information that verifies our work, actually. You know, and I know that us three are fully aware and know 100% with zero doubt whatsoever that Mars is inhabited. So, do you think there's anything else that we can do other than just continue what we're doing and just keep putting the information out there? Is there
Keep
anything
on
more?
trucking.
Yeah.
There's not much else you can do.
Yeah.
You know, mainstream TV or news, they're so knuckled under the government that they won't reveal anything. Last year, somebody showed a little thing about get big on Mars, and they said it was a building, and it got on mainstream news. I found a building with walls around it and other buildings around it, but never made mainstream TV. But it could be seen at Mars Anomaly Research Society or at projectmars.net. Under the Annals of Mars, look up the structure.
You know, everyone really needs to know that I think the starting point is to read and digest Andrew D. Basiago's paper, because that really kind of got everything really, although there were people researching Mars well before that, he's the first person that published proof that there was life on Mars. So I think it is the perfect place for really everyone to start. And really, when I say digest that paper, I mean read it thoroughly, look at every image, and don't stop there, but download PIA 10214, which he based his paper on, and you will find that stuff yourself. I mean, Andy tried to bring it out the best he could, and also to really magnify it, where it kind of looks pixelated, but if you know what you're looking at, you can see it. It's kind of obvious. You know, so I think that's the place to start. And if you're really, if you want to take it from there, then you go to projectmars.net, and like you said, look under the Annals of Mars. There's right now 136 PDFs. Some of them are, a few of them are moon related. And some of them are kind of conversation related. but there are a number of different anomalies that have contributed to proving this fact that Mars is inhabited, and it's worth looking at every single one of those PDFs, and so you get a really good overall picture of what's truly going on and the truth about Mars. Would you both agree with that?
I agree with that.
Yes. So anyway, Patricia, how was our second annual Southeastern Water Conference?
It was fabulous, and y'all really missed a great time. We just had a Skype, very informative interview this afternoon with William Stillings, and we have gone and have dissected different sites together to see what we each see, which we each have our own gifts and talents for different parts of the picture. So it was really exciting and fun for us to be all on our computers going through different pictures. And Lewis and his wife Pat are just the best hosts and hostesses. And Lewis is a great cook, so y'all missed fabulous meals and a lovely location, and it was great.
Okay, and just to elaborate a little bit more on what you said, we did end up selecting an image which Ross had found. It's a PIA, which I'm not going to reveal the number at this point. We've done some work on it. We worked on it for maybe 3 hours or so, looking at it and kind of just scanning it in general. And after Ross gets back home, we're going to, all three of us, really dive into this image and send all of our work to Ross, and he will be posting our finds. Now, we have some difference of opinion on what we see, and I know that Ross is gonna put that out there, and that you make up your own mind. You know, put out what I think I see, what he thinks he sees, and what Pat sees. You know, and then everyone else can. At that point, you're going to know the PIA, and you can dive into it yourselves if you would like. What do you think about that, Ross?
First off, thank you and Pat for the great hospitality and the great food and chow that
you've served for the last 2 days. Our pleasure.
Eating pancake or banana pancakes this morning with fresh coffee, and everybody talking about, well, we got to find something to look at, and I hopped on NASA JPL Arizona Tech high res, and I found a nice PIA image, and I started looking at it. I'm going, hey Lewis, Pat, look at this, look at this. So we all started dissecting it, and yes, we all have seen different things on it, but we also agreed on things that we saw on it. Mm-hmm. And but the one thing that we all concluded was we all see life on Mars.
Yeah. What in this particular PIA, Ross? In general, what's there?
There is structure. There's creatures that of unknown origin. There's little humanoids in there. It's an exciting image, and those who want to see it can see it at Mars Anomaly Research Society, Mars Research, and
Mars Network.
Mars Network.
On Facebook.
Now, yeah, we had a great time. We wish more people could have came, but you're missing a good dig here.
And we will have a third annual. Annual kind of gives it away, which means we're going to have it every year.
Every year.
So I look forward to it growing. This is the second year that it has been us three, basically, and it has been, the only problem is that the time goes by so fast. We had so much to talk about, and it just, the day just, it's gone before we know it.
Yeah.
So it's been very interesting, I think entertaining for us all, and we've all become very good friends. We can actually be ourselves in front of each other, which is really awesome. you know, and we won't get into the details of that, but suffice it to say that it's been really great and very relaxing and very comfortable. You know, I love to cook and
we love to eat.
And so it worked out really great. And my wife, Pat, she's fine with me doing the cooking, and she does the cleanup, which works out great for me because I hate to clean up. You know, so, but anyway.
And I'm not his wife. There's another Pat here
yeah,
too
there's
as
another
well,
Pat.
just in case.
So, my tentative plan is to again put this on next year here in Hohenwald, Tennessee.
Home of the Elephant Sanctuary as
yes, well. Yes. And
the only thing that could make this better is from last year would be last year after we got all camera equipment put away, a huge meteor flew over our heads and went off into the north someplace, or east.
Let's see. It was coming. Actually, north. It went northeast.
Went northeast.
Just, so you were right. You had it.
Meteor flew right over our head. The sky was crystal clear. It was most awesome.
It was.
The only thing that could make it better tonight would be to be on the deck and have a UFO flyby. Which
we intend to go out for a little bit and check that out. You know. So anyway, we hope that many of you will next year attend. I am again going to try for a speaking conference next year, and I think by that time there's going to be a lot more exposure, and I believe that our basically our leader Andy is going to be pushed more and more into the limelight, and I think that will help us and help me to gather plenty of people to listen to him speak, and hopefully we'll be able to bring in you know, people like Bernard Mendez and William Stillings and have a really great time. Just trying to bring out the truth to people, and that's all we're here to do. We love what we're doing, and I think all of us just love exposing reality. So.
Well, we're not here for the money. We're here for the exposure.
Yeah, we're doing this for free, aren't we?
Yeah.
Oh, we are. All right, folks. Thanks for listening. And we hope to see a whole bunch of you next year.
Have a great night all.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.